Welcome to the first episode of Exploring You, our podcast to help you navigate the personal development jungle. This podcast is a co-creation between me, Alexandra Katzer, and my very good mate, Darren Seigenberg. Today, we introduce ourselves to you and we share the reasons behind this podcast, but also give you insights into our own personal development history. So from ayahuasca in the Costa Rican jungle, all the way to NLP revealing shame around anger management issues. We hope that you enjoy this episode. We hope that you check in again and listen to our amazing guests that all share their struggles, their challenges, but also what helped them to transform. And of course, we wish that you are inspired to start your own journey towards a better you.
Hello and welcome to our first episode of Exploring You. It's our way of guiding you through the personal development channel. My name's Darren Seigenberg of the Mind Core and Elysium NLP.
And I'm Alexandra Katzer, nature coach and forest bathing guide. Wow, I can't believe it. Our first session, Darren, we've made it.
I know it's finally coming together. What we're doing. So, Alexandra, you can tell everybody what it is we're doing on this podcast that we've got going now.
Yeah, so I remember when we had the discussion, what can we do to share personal development with the world and the struggles, and how can we bring the different modalities to people, and we have some great people lined up in the future episodes.
We certainly do.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's really what I want to achieve with the podcast is to break down the stigma on mental health. So that is really important to me, that it's okay to ask for help, because that is something that I struggled a long time with as well, to reach out for help when I'm feeling down, when I'm not feeling okay. There is this tendency that we are like, oh, I have to do it. I have to be strong. I have to keep going. You can't show weakness. And we see it in the people we interview. It's really great people, and they share their stories with us. And that's the key important thing for me, to break down the stigma on mental health, that it's okay to openly talk about it. But also there are so many different things around. Now, Darren is an expert in NLP. I'm a nature coach and forest bathing guide. I have done lots of other things, from EMDR, Reiki, energy healing. What else have I done? Oh, ayahuasca with 2 shamans in Peru. So there are so many things out there, and it's really important to first of all understand what's out there, but also to realize or to test the waters, or maybe that could work for me. Maybe some modalities, they bring you the biggest benefits, others not so much. So it's really testing the waters a bit as well. And I think that's what we try to achieve with the podcast.
Yeah. I that's for me is that openness of the different styles of things that are out there. Now, you've got your standard, you've got your coaching, you've got your counseling, you might have, whatever's working for you regarding mental health. It's about finding the right thing for you, and it is a bit of trial and error, like you say. For me, the idea about these podcasts is for people to get an understanding of what each style is. When I looked at all this, therapy, it was like, lie down, tell me about your childhood. No, I don't think so. Typical male, like you say, you don't know. For men in particular, we don't like opening up. We don't like sharing. We don't want to talk about our troubles and our strives. it's important. It's becoming more open these days. So it's an understanding that because there's so much out there, it's like a minefield. We don't really know which way to turn and what's going to work for us. Particularly with veterans, might not be so approachable to somebody in civilian who's offering these certain services. So when you're looking at usual coaching or counselling, there is other work that, and like you say, the variety of guests that we've got coming on, we have got the usual of coaching like NLP and CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, and NLP, if nobody knows, it's neuro-linguistic programming. But we have got other alternatives like Reiki. We're talking hypnosis, we're talking breath work, we're talking fitness, nutrition, all these different elements that can change and help with your mental health. And for these podcasts is to be a little, to give people a taster, in a sense, of what's involved in it, and then they can make their own decisions. Go, okay, that might work for me, that might not, but that might do. So then you've got more of a clear idea and be able to go for that. And one thing I'd like to say as well is if you decide to go for something, go the course. It's like a medication. If you want to go, if you've got an infection, or you've got an allergy, or whatever it may well be, you go and you get pills or you'll get medicine, and you're told to take them so many times per day or per month or whichever. But you take that and you know full well the first pill isn't going to cure you. So you run the course until you finish the course, and then you feel better. And it's the same with coaching and counseling. The first two or three, you might think, why am I doing this? There's no point. But you know full well by the time you finish the course of it, you're a lot more different than you were from the beginning, and you start to get it and you start to open up. So especially men, like I say, that I will say more men. I know more women have mental health than men, but more men kind of keep it within themselves. And statistics show the more men have suicides, commit suicide because of their unwillingness to open up. So have a look at listen to the podcast, have a watch, and you'll see there's different things that are available to you, that you can actually tap into and find out if it works for you.
And also, I think important is to mention that with personal development, it's not like you are not going up in a straight line feeling better. Personal development is like, oh, you feel high, or you get a new realization, and then all of a sudden you go down again and you feel uncomfortable because something new comes up. So it's also not like depending on what you are going through. Like, for example, my background is trauma. I was highly traumatized in the first 4 years of my childhood because I spent a lot of time in hospital. I spent time away continuously from my parents because they were not allowed to see me. So it's a lot of memories that are stored in your body, or in your mind, with emotions, with thoughts, with smells, with visuals. And it takes time to get to the core as well. Sometimes I see personal development, it's like an onion, you peel one layer after the other, and slowly and steadily you get to your true self with all your values, what you enjoy in life, what you don't enjoy in life. You discover your limiting beliefs, you're discovering your survival strategies, and that takes time. And I struggle a bit with in the coaching world at the moment. It's like, oh, my 3-step program that helps you, and in 6 months you will have a happy life. I think I want to be aware that, or make people aware that personal development is a growth process. It's a transformation process, and sometimes it takes time. And if it takes time longer than for others, then it's totally okay as well. So I think that's important for me as well to highlight this. Yeah.
And a key thing that you say there, Alexandra, is that there will be coming a time when you're in, and whichever thing you choose, there will be times where you find that root cause, which is quite embedded deep inside. That's going to something will trigger some negative emotions, and they're so deep. You do need these ideals, whether it be coaching or even hypnosis, that will bring them to the surface. And until they come to the surface, you ain't going to deal with them. And it is those rooted things. I know from one experience for me, I was working as a doors supervisor in Manchester, and after coming back from a particular job I was doing in close protection, things didn't work well. But I didn't see the depression I was in. It was only from my colleague that I worked with was calling, who was then my wife, my ex-wife now, and saying, Darren's in a, you're going to have have a word with Darren, because someone's going to say hello to him and he's not going to like how they say it, and he's going to rip the throat out, because my energy and my anger was coming to the surface so much. But I didn't see that. And sometimes we don't see depression. We kind of dismiss it in a way. It's not depression, but actually it is. But we try and talk ourselves out because we don't want to use that word. But we need to be more open about how we are, especially with men. But we need to be more open. And hopefully that, with the podcast, you've said yourself, our guests have come from a place that's, incredible stories that we've been told. I mean, these people I've known from anything from a couple of years to 8, 10 years to over 20 years, and I've not known some of the stuff they've had to go through from their past. But when we talk about the different ideals and the modalities of where we can find help, they are talking from an experience as well. And that's key, as for I think, to get the message across as well. These are not people who've just gone and done a course and gone, right, I've read a book, I know anything about cognitive behavioral therapy. It's not about that. These people have had some sort of trauma or some sort of experience in their life, which has kind of gone on for them to support others in that particular, with those particular experiences as well, isn't it? So, these are true stories. They are, well, I should say stories, because we make it up, but these are true accounts, if it's a better word, of people what they've done and where they've come from to what they're doing now to help others. And we've also got people who've had help. Some stuff hasn't worked, some stuff has. So they'll talk about what's worked for them and what hasn't worked for them. And obviously, trying to put their experiences to help others as well.
Yeah, exactly. So Darren, for you, you mentioned you came to a point where your emotions were just exploding, And when was sort of the point, or when did you come to the realization, okay, something's not working? I think I need to look for help or manage to deal with this.
It wasn't, to be honest with you, I never really looked at it for my help for myself. Because like I say, I was, lie down, tell me about a child. No, I don't think so. You need therapy, Darren. You need to have a look. You need to speak to someone. No, I don't. I'm fine. It's just a phase, or I don't know you don't know what you're talking about. I'm okay. And that's what you see yourself, but you don't see it coming out. But I was working on a particular job, and I was in the kind of like a control room. We had the cameras and everything. It was a close protection job for a particular family. And so we had like a staff, it was in a big house, and we had a separate room outside, which was like a staff room. And I just heard the staff having a go at each other. They were blaming this person. That person should be doing something. You're out of order. This needs to be done, and you're not doing it. And I just got to myself and thinking, there's got to be a better way to communicate here.
Mm.
Why are you not just talking to each other in a civil manner? And the client's driver came in and he saw my face and he went, "Did you hear all that?" And I went, "That is just disgusting." And it's that which made me think about how to change things. So I was looking at communication skills courses. I looked at transactional analysis, psychology, cognitive behavior therapy, all different things that was available that would look at how I could express people to get to communicate better.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing seemed to be resonating with me. And then the first thing he said, "You need to do it on yourself first, Darren,
Mm.
before you can start applying it to anybody else." And I'm like, yeah, whatever. No, I don't do all that. I don't do all the therapy stuff. I was even doing it to him, dismissing it. So yeah, so the free training course was my course should have been in 2011, but I put it off then to 2012, in May 2012. And it was then that really changed my perception of what NLP was about. I thought, this is so powerful. It's so useful. In particular, I was going to use it for guys in the private security industry, where we know that the forces have a potential value to life, or certainly a duty of care is the word I'm looking for, sorry, in helping when they're coming out of the service. But I think it was with the private security company, there wasn't really anything there to help them, because even working as a doorman, you do see some violent acts and some really bad things, and having to deal with certain things. And even guys who are ex-forces, they haven't dealt with their issues properly and then take it out on people at the doors. There's a massive rush of adrenaline and aggression and everything else. There wasn't anything there that would help. And when I did my course in NLP in May 2012, made me realize there was so much out there. I had to do everything. I had to do everything with NLP. I had to complete the courses. I did the timeline therapy. I did coaching, NLP coaching. I did hypnosis courses, everything. And then when it came to uh, November 2012, I did my master practitioner course. And it was there that really, really impacted on me.
Mm.
With neuro-linguistic programming, it's about there's several areas with neuro-linguistic programming. It's about the linguistic side is the communication you have, not just with other people, but what the communication is you have with yourself. How much you talk yourself out of things, how much negative talk you come up with. Where changing your linguistics, it helps change your mindset and your behavior in events to be more positive. We're
Mm.
looking at the mindset as the neurological side of things, is where your thinking comes from. Even for stuff like phobias, where we've created a general pattern of things, a habit from something we've seen in the past. That's whether somebody's scared of birds or somebody's scared of spiders, and we see that and we kind of incorporate that and build that up over that habit over time, it creates a phobia for ourselves. So neuro-linguistic programming, and the programming side, is about putting everything, how our mind works together and puts things in perspective and stuff, our values, our beliefs, our meta programs, is the way we think about how we take in information. So there's so much about it. I thought, I have to learn more. And then when you're working with a client and you're putting all this stuff together, the values, and you'll have a breakthrough session with a client. And Chris Barron, lovely, lovely guy. I don't know how he put up with me. I really don't. But he was my breakthrough partner and I was his. And there was a specific time we were doing timeline therapy, and we got to a point, we'd done the 5 major emotions, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt. And he came to that one and he went, "What's shame to you?" And you're in a light trance. And I say a light trance, your eyes are closed, you're fully aware of your surroundings, you know what you're doing. There's no way you're going to go running around like a headless chicken. You know full well what you're doing. But I'm there, and I kind of went through the motions. And then when he was bringing out a trance, I happened to see the movement in the side of it, and he's literally pushing his chair back as fast as he could go. What's up? And he went, I have just seen a shift in you. So scary. I thought you were going to hit me. I had to get out of the way. And he
Wow.
said, what do you think? I honestly, it was so powerful. And I hadn't realized this. And he said to me, he said, what do you think about shame? And I swear to you now, for a second, I couldn't even spell the word. I had a blank white wall. I did not know what shame was. And it was that realization, my anger issues derived from shame. It was the shame of losing the temper in the first place, shame of my friends seeing me lose it, and the comments they used to make, the jokes they used to make about me. They used to call me Mr. Angry. They still do now. My children, my family seeing me lose the shame of it. Then you kind of like, you feel even worse, and you get even more angry because you've lost your temper. So it was that, it was finding that little thing that really changes you. And that's where, I'm a very keen advocate for NLP. And I know a lot of people don't see it, or they think you're being brainwashed, but you're not. You're purely coming up with what's in you already. And that's the beauty of it. You find out what's really you when it comes to NLP, and you can't get away from it. The thing about NLP, it's a mixture of different models in itself. There's different. It's like having a massive toolkit. There are so many different elements to it that can help you. If one doesn't work, something else will. So with all the different elements that are part of NLP, you can't go wrong. You're gonna find something. And I've worked with clients. I've worked with people who are borderline, and it's made so much of an impact on them that they're, I mean, to this day, they're complete different. They'll always revert back to what we've learned about ourselves when I've worked with them. So it is so powerful that it does change you massively. And I think from looking at just basic communication skills to what we say to ourselves as well is the difference that's made for me totally different from what I used to be like. Yeah. And like you, I mean, I've looked at other stuff as well. Just over 6 years ago, I was involved in a serious road collision. And I say to I always remember my closest friends when I sent him a message and said, just to let you know, I've been caught in a pretty nasty car crash. I'm fine, no panic. Got a couple of injuries where I'm in the hospital getting found out. And I'll never forget his words. Right, Daz, all that motivational shit you give everybody else, you've got to do it on yourself. And I'm like, I'm already doing it. And it was like, for the NLP and my basic skills in close protection, martial arts, the training that I've done in security and the NLP, I'm still here today. And plus, obviously, the support that I've had from friends. I wouldn't be here today, because it has to start from the very beginning. And only for this training that's helped me get through those difficult times. I had EMDR a couple of years ago, and there was the one thing that came from that was I've left part of me still on the motorway. In a sense, my part of me still there, because I can't do what I used to be, like go for a run or something like that. So part of me, but only for the training that I've done. And like I say, I've done other stuff. I've studied EFT, emotional freedom technique, which is a tapping of the face and the body. I've looked at cognitive behavioral. I've studied some cognitive behavioral therapy, some psychology, all the different elements that's there. And I think I've learned more in the last 5 years than I did the 5 years of high school. So it's all about the stuff, what can help. And it's been useful when dealing with clients and helping them overcome their difficult behaviors as well. it's been a hell of a journey, to say the least. But I know I'm in a better place, and I know I'm a better person than I was 15, 20 years ago. So it's much more powerful for that.
Well done, you.
Kitchen, take the list.
No, I think we also need to celebrate the progress, you know. That's what we often forget, to all the little changes that happen and that we notice. And it's amazing. Like, even for me, like, I remember I moved back from Kenya to Germany in 2015, and I set up my own travel business, and it was the toughest time ever. Like, I'm very like a world citizen, you know. I've lived in Australia, in the UK, in South Africa, in Kenya, in Sweden, and then coming back to Germany, to my hometown where I grew up, that I left when I was 19 with 43. It was like, oh my God, you know, like it felt like someone pulls the rug under your feet. And when I look back, I have made so much progress as well. But back then I couldn't see even the little steps I took. And I think it's so important to see the progress you make and celebrate the progress as well.
Well, you touched on some of the stuff that you've done. Ayahuasca, for example. You know, one of our guests has also done ayahuasca, and I just wanted to leave you two to it, because it's not something that, again, this is the openness of these podcasts. Now, I wouldn't touch. I mean, it takes me all my time to take a paracetamol, let alone something like ayahuasca. You've really experienced this, haven't you? It's really impacted with you. What was the reason for doing that, and how did it come out after?
Yeah. Well, last year I traveled around Central America. So 2023, I traveled around Central America for several months. And I always heard that like mushrooms or ayahuasca or all these natural plants, that they can help with depression, with anxiety, with trauma. And I'm following Gabor Mate. Like, he is this amazing trauma expert, and he talks about ayahuasca as well. So that gave me some confidence. Like, wow, if he's talking about it and he's offering retreats, you know, that means something to me. And also through my nature coaching and forest bathing sessions or certifications, I realized how important nature is, and how much we have lost the touch with nature. You know, it's in the material world, or in our world, it's all about bigger, faster, more successful, strong, not showing any weakness. And when you are in nature, you just can be, you know. And nature is it just flows, you know. The seasons, everything just works. And that gave me confidence as well, that when I'm doing ayahuasca with a shaman from Peru, that have this really strong connection to nature and the natural elements, and have a very strong lineage of shamans in their family, you know, that I feel very supported and safe. And I think that is a big thing you need to consider if you want to do ayahuasca, that you are in a safe space, and that someone is providing support for you. So that was one reason where I was really careful to selecting with whom I'm doing this ceremony. And another reason was also, I just wanted to dig deeper. I wanted to see, what am I not seeing? What am I missing? And now I have not done any drugs in my entire life, you know, apart, alcohol and maybe smoking a cigarette, but that's it. So I was concerned and I was anxious and worried, you know, oh my God, what is coming up? Am I stuck in a trip and I'm not getting out of it, or my brain is messed up, or whatever, you know, all these fears. And then when I arrived and I met the people and the shaman, all of a sudden I felt very calm, you know. And I thought, okay, I just give this a try. And it's also, I think, the fear of losing control, because that is what happens, you know. You all of a sudden you see visuals. It feels like you're looking through a kaleidoscope, and the colors are very intense, and all your senses are very, very sharpened. And I think throughout the ceremony, I always said or told myself, just let go, surrender, don't be stuck in your mind. So just see what comes up. And I went through so much emotions, and it was, for me, it was unbelievable. So first of all, I saw this little girl sitting on the floor like a child, and all toys were swirling around in the air, and kids' music was playing, but it was really dragging on. Like, it was so dull and sad, and there was no joy. And all of a sudden it hit me, and I'm like, that is me. That is how I experienced my childhood. And that is, first of all, such a aha moment and realization, because I don't have a memory, or I can't say, or I can't recall that is how I felt in that moment, because with 6 months old, you don't have these memories. And then seeing, and up to the 4 years old, that's when I was still in hospital, and seeing myself sitting there and realizing how much pain this little girl went through, all of a sudden you feel a lot of love for yourself. You know, you have a lot of compassion, and you realize, wow, what this girl had to go through, and here I am, 50 years old, and I've made it in life. You know, I've managed to get through life. And that was such a huge takeaway as well. But also throughout the ceremony, it comes in phases. And it's amazing with the shaman. It feels like they know when you are struggling. So I always felt like when they realize it's too much for you, they take you out. And then you're like, everything is normal again, like you are not tripping. And all of a sudden he started playing on his flute, and I'm like, wow, back into the trip. And I had this hospital experience several times, and I felt like screaming, stop this pain. I don't want this feeling anymore. I don't want to go through this sad period, to these dull moments. But I couldn't say anything. I couldn't move. So I just turned around in fetal position and thought, okay, this is how I have to live my life. I have to have life happen to me. And it only hit me, or I made that realization only a couple of weeks later, where I thought, oh my God, that is my survival strategy. That is the strategy that little girl applied to get through this challenging time. And it made me realize, wow, I'm not that little girl anymore. I'm not stuck in this situation. I can very well decide how my life should look like, or what I want to do with my life. And that was such a big realization. And I think ayahuasca shows you what you need to see, and it shows you only that much what you can handle and what you can work through. And also, I have to say, I have done a lot of work before, like coaching, internal family system, really getting in touch with myself. And I'm not sure if I would have like to do ayahuasca at the beginning of my personal development journey. You know, I think it would have been too overwhelming, too frightening, too much, or at least for me, you know, like I said, everyone is different. But it really helped me to show compassion for myself, and and see this extreme limiting belief that I was holding so much, like so deep buried in myself, you know. Yeah.
It's incredible, isn't it, when you find that one thing that can totally, not necessarily change your life, but give you more of an open mind on things. And I want to say of things, I mean of you personally. You know, it's a major shift in you when you know the impact it has. And again, I'll reiterate why we have these podcasts is there is different elements to do different things that can open different doors within your mind to put you on a better path. And if it does, it might not work for you. You might not think, well, this is the right thing for me. You know, I know during the podcast, I use the analogy of martial arts. True martial arts will do different martial arts. They'll do different styles to find the one that's right for them. You know, some martial arts have been made up from different styles, but you've got to go through the process, and you've got to go through all the pain and the instructions and the discipline to get to that ultimate goal. You're always learning. And I think with the podcast that we do is very much like that. They are different styles and different learnings that we can pull together, that we can then help ourselves be better people. As Martin Luther King says, you know, you don't need the full staircase to take the first step. You know, it's the first thing you've got to do is take that step. And the thing, because there's so many different variations of stuff that's going to help you, hopefully the podcasts open up those internal dialogues to say what I need to know about them. You know, the people that we have on are fully trustworthy. They are there to help you. They're not there to put their spin onto you. The comments they come up with are their life story. You know, it's not there to put onto you. You may resonate with something, you may not. But you know, it's understanding that these people have come from a place that you may well have seen yourself. Veterans will talk about, you know, being in high volatile situations, losing, you know, colleagues, brothers in arms, as you may well call it. And they have they seem to think that nobody will be able to relate to that. PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, is exactly what it says on the tin. PTSD is now found in a lot of more now in trauma. And we are suffering from it now, whether it could be from someone standing on a landmine, or being caught up in an IED, or an improvised explosive device, to being caught in a vehicle crash, to for me, you know, I've seen my son born and being in an incubator with about 7 pneumothorax tubes sticking out of his chest and flatlining right in front of me. You know, you got to take something away from that. And when I relive that experience, and I think about everybody in the room was crying their eyes out, and I'm stood there going, why am I not crying? Why are you crying? Get on with it. Let's get, you know. And then it wasn't till after, I mean, luckily everything, you know, the doctors and nurses did a fantastic job of keeping him alive. And he's, you know, he's 30 odd years old now. When I went away and I went, why didn't I cry? It was when I stopped to think, I broke down. I couldn't handle it. And it was from that moment on that I was determined, not to think. It sounds silly doing it, but I was like, I am never going to think, why am I not doing it? Why am I not getting emotional? So I suppose in a way from there, I started putting up those barriers. You know, my childhood wasn't brilliant.
Mm.
You know, you have an alcoholic father, stepfather. Your real father was someone completely different. You know, wasn't a very nice person. Then you go into this, then you grow up like that. You know, you've under the disciplinarian that my stepfather was pounded on me. So all that as you go older, kind of put a resilience on me anyway. But then when I had, you know, like I say, when I stopped to think about why I wasn't getting upset like everybody else was, made me then start putting up those barriers and go, do you know what? No, I am never, ever going to get in that situation again. I'll stop thinking. I will not start. I will be hardened up. I will not admit to
Mm.
anything. And you carry on that as you go along. And the more and more stuff that's going to hit you over life, you know, you start putting up more and more barriers. And again, those grenades are going in the bin, you know, till at some time you're going to explode.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's key that, you know, it's being open-minded. I think I'm a lot more open-minded now. I've had counseling, I've had EMDR, I've also had hypnosis done on me. I've had
Mm.
someone do Reiki with me, you know, and feeling that energy of, you know, just lying on a couch, somebody moving the hands across my body, just getting to my chest, and then feeling that I'm absolutely strapped down. I was like I was on a gurney. You know, when you put those clips on you and they pull you tight so you can't move. But their hands are at your feet, and you're still going, I can't move, but there's nothing there. So
Mm.
it's fascinating, and to be immersed in and having the open mind to learn the new things does get you into a much better place.
Mm.
And we find this and this is the podcasts are all about. It's having an open mind, understanding what everything is. The people we have are, you know, I trust totally. You know, if I was going to therapy with them, I'd trust them immensely because I know them. You know, we know the people we're bringing onto the shows. And they've come from a certain place, so I can trust them because I know
Mm.
they've been there and done it. So, yeah, it's exciting, and I don't normally use that word because I'm not one of these people who do get excited. I don't believe in excitement, but for what we've got coming ahead, I just hope everybody enjoys it just as much as we've done. I
Yeah.
know that.
And I think also what I want to highlight is that it will be very natural. So we are not, we just see where the conversation goes. There will not be much cutting or making it all look sophisticated.
There's nothing professional about this. It's raw. You know, that you get what you see. You know, it's as
Yeah,
simple as that. We don't hide
exactly.
anything. And you know, it's like our guests, they've not really hidden anything. They've been quite forthcoming, to be quite honest with
Mm,
it.
yeah.
And we've not even pushed them. We've not even questioned them. They've just come and said it. And that's the beauty of it, isn't it? Like you say, they are raw. They are, as you know, we don't have any fancy backdrops. You know, I'm not saying anything bad about one of our guests, Sean. You know, you did a great job. You know, and these are real backdrops. This is what we have. You know, this is what we have. So it's nothing perfect because we wanted that true element, didn't we? You know, we wanted
Mm,
a real element to these podcasts.
yeah.
And I think that hopefully that comes across to people to be more trustworthy for what's coming up.
Yeah. Yeah. And also that I think that everyone struggles at some point, and that it's a normal part of life. And I think that's what we want to show as well with the people that we have on board. You know, I feel our viewers or listeners can relate to them, and that's the beauty of it. Like it's just people like you and me.
Well, yeah, you know, I just want to touch on as well that part of this, the part of me doing this was come from the idea of me wanting to set up a retreat and training center for men predominantly, with mental health, to become more self-sufficient, have an understanding of the negativities that they come, being a bit more open to challenge, because it is a challenge to come overcome these things that we have in our heads, and have a full approach how nutrition, how the nutrition side of things, how certain foods can trigger our mindset and our emotions, the fitness side of things. We know that fitness increases endorphins in our minds and our better well-being overall. There is that mind-body connection, and this is the part for me, is to have that, to push for this to happen. We have a number of donation pages for people to apply to, and I'm pushing it now, putting in for donations. But it's key that we get this going, and part of this is for people to have a realization this is what we're going to be putting forward within the retreat and training center. We have, for myself and Alexandra, we'll be coming up with a lot more stuff coming up this year. We have stuff that we won't discuss it just now, but we will let you know more for it later. So keep an eye out for that. And also we've worked with a number of clients as well, haven't we? Whether it be on an NLP and coaching side, or with Alexandra, the nature coaching, which is, it's something I'd never even thought of. Some of the stuff that you do in your nature coaching, the forest bathing, that natural element, is fantastic. And it's these little things that we don't actually realize are out there. So if you're not so keen on going to talking about your childhood or whatever, you might want to see something that might take a different approach. And again, it might work, it might not, but giving it a go. The nature element. I mean, you touched on it before. I just want to touch, before we disappear, your nature side of things. It is a natural flow, isn't it? You're using the basics, and again, I'll recap to martial arts. Everything derives from basic. The foundations of where you come from, and I think, if I'm right in saying, nature does strip everything away, doesn't it, to get to your basic person and build them back up again. Is that correct?
Yeah, and also what I like about nature, like the symbols that you feel drawn to in nature, that might be a feather, a broken branch, a big tree, a stone, or whatever you feel drawn to at nature, it mirrors something back within you. And when you work with natural symbols, you first sort of describe the symbols, what you see, what you feel, and then you make the transition to your current life situation. And that's where the aha moments are. And also in general, just like nature's healing abilities, through the smells, the sounds, they so calm your nervous system. Like you feel refreshed after a session, you feel like you've been on a holiday. I remember my first forest bathing session that was an afternoon for 4 hours. And I was like, wow, I've just been away only for a couple of hours, but my mind was so relaxed. I felt quiet. I got great inputs, great takeaways. So that's what I like with the nature immersion. You are dropping from your head into your body. Like you stop thinking, you work more with your intuition, with your feelings, and because you are moving in nature at a slow pace, things within you start moving as well, and that's what I really appreciate with nature. It makes us feel like at home, and yeah, there's a nice feeling as well. You feel supported, you feel safe, and protected. And also when you like sit next to a tree, or you hug a tree, you know, that might sound very funny, or some people think, oh my God, I'm never doing that. But just try it. You feel very supported, you know, you feel very grounded. You are connecting on a much deeper level with yourself and with your surroundings. And that's the beauty where I see myself. Also, I want to plan retreats as well, in amazing locations across the world, because there are so many power places that really, yeah, bring things out from deep within you, you know. And I feel, like I said before, we are very disconnected from ourselves, and we are very disconnected from nature, and we are so stuck in our mind, you know. We are constantly worrying about the future, we are worrying about the past, or I should have made a different decision. And nature helps us to be in the present moment, and that's when you can feel safe and supported. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I'd mentioned it on one of the podcasts. I remember reading about the screaming tree. You know, at your bottom, you get having a tree at the bottom of your garden, so you just go out and start screaming at it and let all your negative emotions out, and just bellow at this poor tree, you know, and basically strip the bark off it. But you know, it's having that natural element to be able to release everything.
Mm,
I know it's again that calming influence. Doing something like Tai Chi, you know, I remember following a particular show that was on the TV of Tai Chi movements, and I decided to do it myself and give it a go. And I remember going out in the back garden, and I was just wearing a pair of pants, just these training pants I use for martial arts. No shoes or socks, no t-shirt, no nothing. And it was like -5, -4 or -5 outside. It had been snowing. And I'm just stood there with my hands open, my arms open, my relaxed, my mind just went completely. And I came in sweating
mm,
because the energy that's in us, I don't think we take it for granted
mm,
that we have this natural element within us. Um, you know, and one of our presuppositions in NLP is that we have all the resources within us to change. You
mm.
know, you know, as people, we're constantly looking at how we're asking other people, how do we do this? We go to counselors looking for answers for them to give us, but we don't need that. We've got it in as ourselves. It
Yeah,
just needs bringing up and out to do that. And
exactly.
like I say, that natural element of being out and, oh, yeah, it's so mind relaxing.
Yeah.
I miss doing that, you know, just standing out in I mean, I know we've got bad weather at the moment at the time we're doing these podcasts. I certainly feel like going out in the garden now. I was just thinking, but I don't think my neighbors will be too appreciative of me going out in half naked anyway. So I'll probably get arrested. But they probably think I've gone completely balmy. But do you know what? Who cares? You know, if you're gonna look stupid, who cares? At least you're going to
Exactly.
provide somebody some entertainment, you know. But
Eh,
the fact is, the key thing is that you're doing it for yourself. You
mm,
know, it's you against you.
yeah,
Nobody's else going to change you. You know what you need. You just need that right guidance and the tools and techniques to be able to find that. And you know, you will find this on the podcast. You will find it either with myself or with Alexandra. If you're looking at particular stuff that you want to be helping you with, by all means contact us. Our details will be on the podcasts, on the text on the podcast. So reach out. It's you know, whatever we talk in a fully confidential manner. Everything's kept under wraps. It's between you and me, you and Alexander, or you with any of our coaches that are our guests on the show. And everything's under the strictest confidence. You don't have to share anything that you don't want to. But it's taking that step. you know, push yourself, go out and do it, because nobody else is going to do it for you. You know you, and it is you versus you. So,
and it's definitely worthwhile doing. It can be painful at times, but it will be worthwhile. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's painful buying groceries these days, but you know, you still do it. So, so I think I do not know what anything else we can share.
No, I think we covered pretty much what we wanted to say. We said, oh, let's see where this goes, you know. We didn't really have a very detailed plan. We just said, okay, press the record button and let's go and do this.
The podcasts will be shown one a week. We've got 30 odd guests to get through. You know, we have a wide range of topics. Have a listen, have a watch, get in touch. All the comments, you know, we'd love your comments, love your likes. Okay, if you want to dislike, that's up to you, but we prefer the likes, you know, and we prefer the good comments as well. But no, we take everybody's comment on board. Everyone's an individual. You know, you can please some of the people some of the time, not all the people all the time. We know that. And everybody is an individual. We've got to remember that you are an individual. What works for you might not work for somebody else, but find what works for you. You know, we'll have contact details for our guests and for ourselves if you want to reach out. Just want to touch on, we have a number of supporters, certainly from the Mind Core as well. We have Promo Doodle. Promo Doodle do kind of little cartoons to advertise your business. The PBA, or Professional Bodyguard Association, do a number of training courses if you want to get into security, whether it be on the door supervisor or into close protection, and first aid and surveillance. We have the BDMCC, which is the Burnley and District Motorcycle Club. They've been big supporters of us, helping raise funds for our retreat and training centre. Great bunch of people. And we also have Mira Gavaccio, who's also done some designing for some advertisement for us as well. She's a freelance virtual designer. So by all means, if that's what you're looking for, get in touch with us. And us. Thank you, Alexandra, for, you know, she does so much work in the behind the scenes of these podcasts, and which I'm very grateful. I've got no clue with technology, so I'd be useless. But
me neither. Fake it till you make it.
All right, I'm just trying to pass it on to you. But yeah, we're here once. You know, we'll be here every week, once a week, a different guest. We will introduce the guest, so you've got a better understanding. And if you want to know anything more, please reach out by all means with that through our contact details. So it's a goodbye from him. And it's a goodbye from her, I think.
Ciao for now.
Thanks a lot. See you soon. Take care.